Part B, or an arbitrary limit on the number of times a particular letter can be used in a post, like the restrictive rule of only 4 E's allowed per post. In some instances, posts are swiftly removed without any explanation being provided to the user, rendering the platform nearly unusable. TIFU by thinking a mirror was a passageway to another room was at a club last night and thought the mirror was a passageway into a new room, went to go through it and saw someone coming towards me. Tried to move out of the way and he moved the same way as me. Then I looked up. TIFU by mistaking my reflection for an invisible entrance. I found myself in a bit of a predicament at a nightclub the other night. Convinced that a mirror was an invisible doorway to another room, I decided to make my way through it. Just as I was about to pass, I noticed someone approaching me. Attempting to move out of their way, I was surprised to see them doing the same, almost as if we were in sync. It wasn't until I looked up and locked eyes that I realized my mistake. And it wasn't just that the person was moving in tandem with me. It was that I was staring directly at my own reflection. I quickly composed myself, apologized for the awkwardness, and then, in a moment of social awkwardness, raised my glass in a toast, only to realize it was actually an awkward greeting to my own reflection as it was reaching for its glass. Edit. Wow, thanks. My first post and made it to the front page. Laughing face, for those asking, it was in Nottingham. Update. None TLDR. I thought a mirror was a secret door at a club, ended up toasting my own reflection. AITA for telling my roommate her BF can't sleep over 5 nights a week. It's pretty straightforward. My roommate's BF is over 5 days a week. I told her he can't be here 5 to 6 days a week because I pay to live with one other person, not 2. She is upset with me and thinks I'm fine. Am I the asshole for limiting my roommate's boyfriend's overnight stays? Our living arrangement is relatively simple. I pay to live with one roommate, not 2. When her boyfriend comes over more than 5 days a week, I feel it's reasonable to set some boundaries. I explained the situation to her, stating that I'd prefer it if her boyfriend limited his overnight stays to 5 days a week or less, so the living space remains primarily for the 2 of us. She's taken issue with my request, arguing that I'm being unfair since my own boyfriend comes over on weekends. However, I only see my boyfriend 1 to 2 nights a week, mainly on the weekends when I have a break from work. I believe it's reasonable to expect her boyfriend to respect our living space and not fully relocate here without contributing to our expenses. Lost my virginity. I'm so incredibly happy. It was an incredible experience. I felt so comfortable and giddy. It was with a friend and things still felt good and normal after we got lunch and went to a bookstore. Overall, it was an extremely positive experience and I couldn't. A turning point in my life. I'm feeling elated and content after this life-changing event. The experience was truly unforgettable, and I felt at ease and carefree throughout. Sharing this moment with someone I care about made it all the more special. Afterward, we continued with our daily routine, going for lunch and browsing through a bookstore, which added to the normalcy and comfort of the situation. This experience has left a lasting positive impression on me, and I feel fortunate to have had it. I know many people don't have the same fortunate experience, so I want to emphasize that sex can be a loving and intimate experience, free from discomfort and stress. I'm grateful for this newfound understanding, and I'm thrilled to have had such a wonderful introduction to this aspect of life. Edit. This story is a personal reflection of the writer's experience, and it's not intended to be a universal representation of everyone's experiences with sex. Update. The writer's perspective is unique and might not be the same for everyone, but it's an inspiring and positive take on losing one's virginity. TLDR. The writer shares their positive experience losing their virginity and wants to emphasize that sex can be a loving and intimate experience. Kids at Adults Only Resort. Wife and I are on honeymoon at an Adults Only, all-inclusive in Mexico. There was a large wedding here where all ages were invited. Fine for a day, but it seems as part of the wedding deal all of the guests including their children are able to stay. Yes. Honeymoon disrupted by uninvited family. My wife and I are currently on our honeymoon at an Adults Only, all-inclusive resort in Mexico. However, the property recently hosted a wedding that, unlike its usual policy, allowed families with children to attend. The wedding guests stayed for a few days and have since taken over the quiet areas, creating chaos in the restaurants with their loud noises and making a mess. The atmosphere we were expecting to be romantic and peaceful has been ruined by the presence of children. I'm wondering if we have any straightforward options to address what appears to be false advertising. Edit: there have been no updates to this situation. Update: there have been no further updates. TLDR: a wedding at an adults-only resort led to an influx of families and children, disrupting the quiet atmosphere for honeymooning adults. Saw this on Twitter and I wanted to share. Parents who emotionally abused their children their entire lives and then cry real, proper tears when their children grow up and forgot their entire existence are in the top 3 sets of people with the most audacity. I have a not. A tweet caught my eye, prompting me to share its insight. There's a particular category of individuals who possess an extraordinary amount of audacity. Parents who emotionally manipulated their children throughout their lives, only to break down in tears when those children grow up and seem to have forgotten their very existence. I have another child who has never had the chance to meet my parents. However, my family members often pretend that my kids and grandparents have a close relationship. In reality, this is far from the truth. As a result, my children are unlikely to have a meaningful connection with their grandparents from my side. I didn't want to die today. This is kinda short and maybe silly to some people, but today's the first day and I don't know how long that when I thought about death I was afraid of it. I wanted to keep living out my life and be happy. I'm making progress. Update: holy s. Today was supposed to be more than just another day. For the first time in an uncertain amount, when mortality crept into my thoughts, I found myself seized by a deep-seated dread. I yearned for more time to live, to experience the world, and to discover the happiness that life had to offer. I'm making strides, taking tentative steps towards healing. Update: holy shit. I didn't anticipate this post receiving such an overwhelming response. Thank you. As a young person still navigating the ups and downs of life, to hear that so many people are proud of me for sharing this, truly touched my heart. Thank you. Happy crying face. I made my wife cry at the pizza parlor. My wife is a heck of a strong lady. She doesn't break down. We were having a date night at our favorite pizza place and we were talking about how things had been going. She's been making a ton of progress since we got together years ago. In a tender moment at the pizza parlor, my wife is an incredibly resilient woman. She's not one to easily crumble under pressure. Our date night at our go-to pizza joint was an opportunity for us to reflect on our journey together. She's made significant strides since we met, and I couldn't help but express my admiration for the person she's become. My simple yet heartfelt declaration of pride had an unexpected outcome. It moved her to tears. It wasn't until